हाँ हाँ जरूर कनेक्ट करा ले हाँ करिए स्टार्ट कर दो मैं चल रही हमारे पास से पेन से फोन हमारी गुड इवनिंग विद्या जी थैंक्स फॉर जॉइनिंग
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm Akanksha Mahajan here. I'm DIG in Central Zoo Authority. And,
Hello,
on behalf of Central Zoo Authority, I welcome all the fellow conservationists and nature enthusiasts to the inaugural episode of Zooming Conservation. This would be a series of approximately 100 episodes where we will be covering different endangered endemic species which require immediate attention and conservation. And I'm thrilled to embark with all of you on this remarkable journey as we delve into the heart of wildlife conservation efforts in India. In this groundbreaking wildlife conservation series, we are setting our sights on understanding the complex set of factors of the on-ground conservation initiatives aimed at safeguarding the India's rich biodiversity. Today, we mark the beginning of an extraordinary journey as we launch our 100-episode series of Zooming Conservation. And what better way to commence than by spotlighting one of India's most iconic yet vulnerable species, the leopard. But our focus extends beyond admiration. We are diving deep into the gritty realities of human-wildlife conflict. In this first episode, which is titled Species and Focus, Leopards, Human-Wildlife Interaction in Urban Areas. Definitely, it is a touching topic for each and every one of us, all the citizens, because some or the other, they are also part of this conservation initiative. Here, we'll be unraveling the complex dynamics that arise when human and the animal territories collide. From crop rates to livestock predation, we'll confront the stark truths of conflict and explore innovative strategies to foster coexistence between human and wildlife. Now, I would request Apurva, who is a policy assistant at CZA, to introduce Vidya Venkateshji, who would be taking us through the first journey of the first episode and sharing her experiences on the human-wildlife conflict with special focus related to the leopards. Thank you and welcome every one of you once again.
Thank you, Pooja.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for introducing and starting the 100 series episode. I would like to give some introduction of Vidya ma'am. Vidya ma'am is a multi-talented individual with a diverse range of interest and accomplishment. With a strong corporate background, she has successfully navigated the challenging world of business, developing extensive experience in strategic planning, project management, and team leadership. However, Vidya ma'am's passion for wildlife conservation has always remained at the forefront of her priorities. As the director of Last Wilderness Foundation and been an enthusiastic conservationist, she has worked tirelessly with indigenous people and local communities to develop sustainable solutions that balances the needs of human and wildlife, with special focus on mitigating the negative impacts of human-wildlife interaction. Amidst working in different tiger reserves, national parks, and wildlife sanctuaries, Vidya ma'am was also a key member of Sanjay Gandhi National Park project, where she played a vital role in creative citizen-driven initiative that tackled human leopard conflicts in Mumbai. Vidya ma'am's approach to conservation has grounded in the deep respect of the interconnectedness of living beings. Through her work, she has helped to establish programs that empower local communities to take an active role in protection of their natural environment. From developing alternative livelihoods to reducing human-wildlife conflict, Vidya ma'am's efforts have transformative impact on the lives of countless individuals and the ecosystems they depend on. Join us as we embark on this rewriting journey of discovery, advocacy, and action. Today, let's zoom in on the conservation and make the tangible difference in safeguarding India's wildlife legacy. Welcome to Zooming Conservation. Now I'll hand over the session to Vidya ma'am. She will be taking us through the leopard interactions in urban society. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Purva. Thank you so much for this inauguration by ma'am and by you for this wonderful series that you all are starting from CZA on behalf of CZA. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Apurva, can you see the screen? I think it's already shared.
No, ma'am, screen is not visible.
Okay, I'll just share it. Yeah, tell me if this is now visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, lovely. If I move my screen, you're still able to see the screen, right? You're still able to see the presentation, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, great, wonderful. So good evening, everybody, and very happy Leopard Day today. So I'm very happy to start on one of our favorite animals that we've been working on for so many years. There is a very interesting subject that we are talking about today, and not only leopard being the interesting, subject, but here we're talking about humans as well. So, two of the most adaptable human beings that we're going to, two of the most adaptable species that we're talking about, and the focus for today is going to be the interactions that we've experienced and worked with between leopards and humans in urban areas, in urban landscapes. And I'm specifically going to be sharing my experience of being a Mumbaikar, being in Mumbai. We've had a lot of experience with leopards, so I'm going to be sharing our experience with Mumbai as a city in the urban areas. So let's start. So when we talk about wildlife or urban wildlife, there are a certain species that come to our mind. And I don't know if people can chat or people can write, but you're most welcome to chat and write. If you guys have any species that comes to your mind when you think of the word urban wildlife, if you have any species that comes to your mind, please do write in the chat and I'll try and look into it. But there are a few species that we usually have in our minds in every city. So for Mumbai, the first thing that people would want to know is the speciality of Mumbai is flamingos. Flamingo is one of the urban wildlife species that is commonly seen nowadays, seen throughout the year. It's a migratory species. But in Mumbai, whenever you can go to the particular spot, you will see a flock of them who are almost resident now in our city. Langurs, of course, can be seen in certain pockets. Squirrel, of course, I think most of us would have seen squirrels, palm squirrel, that is in and around cities, and they are hoarders. So they're also seen building nests in somebody's window, somebody's AC duct, and so on. Barn owls are one of the most common predators that you can see. Of course, it's a nocturnal animal, hence not too many people would have really spotted it. But we all know that owls exist in cities as well, and this is the barn owl species that we all get to see. So that's another species. Here, of course, is a snake that we all would have seen by now at least once. Cities also have a lot of snakes, resident ones, and they've always lived there. There are different stories about snakes, and we can talk about snakes some other day. But snakes definitely are part of our urban wildlife when we talk about a whole lot of biodiversity that exists in any of the metro city, any urban city for that matter. That brings us to the most charismatic species currently that is there in Mumbai or in a lot of urban cities that I've heard of is a leopard. This is a photograph. It's a camera trap photograph and it's taken in an area which we'll be talking about a little later. But it's a camera trap photograph of a leopard moving between the houses. You can see the walls and those are the houses. They're called padas in Mumbai. The local hutments are called padas. So between the two houses, the leopard just moves at night, and it is a very common phenomenon. But this was just not lucky, but it was a set camera track. So we were lucky to get a photograph here. This is photographed by Steve Winter from National Geographic. So when you talk about human wildlife interactions, now as we speak, we've seen multiple birds, animals, mammals, reptiles, all of that. Interactions happen all the time, with squirrels, with snakes, with flamingos. There are interactions which happen all the time. All the interactions are broadly classified into three categories. So they can be positive, they can be neutral, or they can be negative. So not all interactions have to be negative, not all interactions have to be positive. So some of the interactions can also be positive or negative. It can also be neutral, where we just see an animal, it's there in its habitat, we are there walking by, and it's a very neutral impact that happens to both, to the wildlife as well as to human beings. Now, this being the context that I'm setting here, saying there are positive, neutral, or negative interactions, we're going to move forward to understand as to what this particular species of leopards is all about. In cities, as we recently have seen, I mean, this is not way long back, this is April 14, we're talking about, leopard has entered a house in Meerut. In Jabalpur, leopard has entered. This is November 23, not very old, of course. So we've seen leopards, moving around cities in different parts of the country. Bangalore also has seen leopards in residential areas. Within the city limits, it has seen leopards. And apart from all this, of course, Mumbai has leopards as well. So it is quite common to see a leopard roaming around a society, which is very close to a national park situated in Bombay. So this is kind of I wouldn't say increasing over a day by day, but it is a phenomenon that is coming to limelight over a period of time or recent times. It has started coming to limelight because of various technologies, various CCTV cameras, lighting which has been put around most societies. People have started seeing leopards more often as well. And it has also been captured in many CCTV cameras. It's been captured in many camera traps. So the understanding of this animal in a urban setting or in an urban environment has increased over a period of time. And that has given us a lot of insight on the lives of these animals also. So one of the most interesting behavior is, like I said in the beginning itself, the animal is one of the most adaptable predators that we have, right? I've been roaming around different forests. Right now I'm sitting in Panna, and we've seen leopards in forest areas, in protected areas, inside national parks, inside tiger reserves, in many of these rural areas as well. But somehow I feel the leopards that are roaming around the cities and in the urban areas have adapted themselves so well that they can survive any change that can come through. And I'm not talking about a change where all the forests are cut down or all the trees are cut down or there's no habitat for them, but I'm talking about changes that keeps coming in a city. So in a place like Mumbai, which used to have tigers as well, the only predator or the large cat predator which has survived is a leopard, right? So understanding a little bit about their lives in urban environment is very important. They are territorial animals. In cities also they are territorial animals. However, let me also tell you that there have been instances where we've had leopards using a common road. There have been about 5 to 6 leopards that have also used a common road to move around their territories. So it's quite common to share spaces in probably a space like a urban city or a metropolitan city like Mumbai, where there's a space crunch. And leopards have also, learned on how to survive in a space crunch area like Mumbai. They also have strong family ties with their mothers. So mother takes care of their little ones or the cubs for almost about a year and a half or so. And post that, the cubs start dispersing and forming their own territories. So they're also highly dependent on their mothers for learning a lot of their skills, their life skills, their survival skills, hunting techniques. A lot of these skills are also taught by the mother, and the cubs depend on their mother for this. They also have very, very strong homing instinct. So we've had instances where if the leopard has been translocated, they've come back for about 400 kilometers away also. There was a leopard known as Ajoba, Ajoba. If somebody wants to know Azoba, Azoba in Marathi means grandfather. And there's a story. There was a movie also made on Azoba where Urmila Matondkar has been a heroine. But Azoba has been an iconic leopard, which has actually created a lot of awareness amongst Mumbaikars. This leopard was captured in Sanjay Gandhi National Park and released in another area, which is about 400 kilometers away. And over a period of few months, it came back. It tried crossing the road on a national highway, and that is when it was hit by a vehicle. And unfortunately, very unfortunately, it died. But after that, when the body was taken to the national park, and there was a chip that was found, which was inserted in its body as part of the capture and release process. There's a chip which is always inserted inside the body of a leopard. That chip was scanned, and then they figured out that this leopard was actually trapped from Mumbai. It was left far away in Malshes Ghat, and then it came back all the way. And unfortunately, it got hit by a vehicle. So yeah, I mean, we've seen stories or we've seen instances where it can come back, and homing instincts are very strong. If you remove some of these leopards, which also has happened, where forest department has come under pressure to remove an animal from a particular area, from a residential vicinity area, we've seen in a very short period of time, the leopards have come back very soon. There are multiple leopards that will occupy that area. The moment it is vacant and it is viable for a leopard habitat, there are multiple other leopards from the vicinity that will come in and occupy the space. So it could be more than one in that case. If you remove one, there could be more than one that can probably come in and take on the territory as well. In urban areas, their food sources are very different from a national park or a forest within the national park or forest areas, protected areas that we know. In urban areas, the food sources vary from stray dogs, wild pigs, cattle carcass. So there are tabelas. There's a good amount of cattle that is there in and around Mumbai. The carcass of the dead animals is dumped in areas, and leopards are seen there. Chicken and other small animals as well. So I will also show you on the areas where leopards are usually seen in Mumbai. So here is a national park of Mumbai, which is called as Sanjay Gandhi National Park. If you see the green patch, and I don't know if you are able to see the mouse movement, but the green patch, which is right in the center, that is the Sanjay Gandhi National Park. Everything around it on a very elongated shape that you see is Mumbai. Right below on the south side, you see Mumbai written, you see Andheri East written. Mumbai extends a little beyond that as well. But right in the heart of the city, you see Borivali East, and Borivali East is where the Sanjay Gandhi National Park is. A little below that, you also see Goregaon East. Now, Goregaon East is a small little place. In Goregaon East, there's a small little place which is known as RML Colony. RML Colony is a dairy area. Also, the administration is under the National Dairy Development Board. The Dairy Development Board has a lot of greenery area because of fodder land that is required and so on and so forth. So that also is a very conducive habitat for leopards. So Sanjay Gandhi National Park is about 103 square kilometers area. Surrounding that is almost where the leopards are also found. I mean, inside also there are leopards, but we're talking about most of the leopards which are living in the vicinity and outside the Sanjay Gandhi National Park. So the RML colony that I'm also going to be talking about throughout the talk today is about 14 square kilometers. That's also where the film city is situated. So if you have seen any news around leopard entering the film city and so on about Mumbai, then this area towards the southern part of the national park is where the film city is situated inside RML colony. So the density of population we're talking about here in Mumbai, of course, the population density is about 31,000 plus people per square kilometers, and it's the second highest in the world. So people get absolutely surprised when we say that in a highly populated density like Mumbai, we still have leopards, which is one of the largest predators in the city. There are 26 leopards per square kilometer. I mean, we do have more leopards as a count. We've, I think, around about 50 leopards in Mumbai. But the density that we're talking about is 26 leopards per square kilometer. And just to give you an idea, Sariska is one of the highest populated or highest density in India, and that has about 21 0.43 leopards per square kilometer. Kuno, again, I'm talking about Kuno because Madhya Pradesh has the highest number of leopards in India. And within Madhya Pradesh, Kuno has the highest density, which is 16.38 leopards per square kilometer. So you have a fair idea saying when we are talking about Sariska, we're talking about Kuno being 21 and 16. In Mumbai, we've got 26 leopards per square kilometer. And when you look at that, it's in a simple math you're talking about. We've got about 1,200 people, 1,220 people almost per leopard in Mumbai. So imagine the crowd that the leopard must be looking at and wondering, where am I? So this is kind of a very unique situation that we have in our country. With this background, the Forest Department, of course, had challenges between 2005 2010, and there were multiple instances of negative interactions between humans and wildlife. And to mitigate those negative interactions, the Forest Department started with a project known as Mumbaikars for SGNP, which was an inclusive project, which was first of its kind. And let me tell you, it's still working. It's what, about 13 years now, and 2011 it started. Today we are at 2024, and it's still working. It's a citizen science project initiated by the Forest Department, and it was initiated to address the human-leopard conflict around Sanjay Gandhi National Park. It was a joint project with Dr. Vidya Atreya, who is the principal investigator in this project, and I was leading the project. So it was a lot of learning that we had, though the project formally was run only for 1 year between 2011 and 12. Since it was initiated as a citizen science project, it still continues, and we'll talk about that as well. So Mumbaikars for SGNP was actually started with a lot of activities in mind. It was started, or it created a lot of understanding about humans and leopards in this landscape. It also gathered basically a lot of understanding about humans and leopards, mitigated impacts of this interaction where humans and leopards would interact with each other, building capacity with Forest Department, Police Department, and various other departments that we'll also interact with now, or we'll talk about now. Creating awareness amongst locals, amongst different stakeholders, conducting outreach programs was another agenda. Creating a network of volunteers, fostering positive relationships. And it was a platform for dialogue between Forest Department and stakeholders. So that was one of the beautiful platforms that was created at that time with, the project known as Living with Leopards. So that was the initiative that it started way back. The first action that we had to undertake was to survey the stray dog population in RML Colony. So RML Colony, as we spoke about, is a small patch of 14 square kilometers. It is not part of the protected area. It's outside the protected area, but it has fair amount of greenery, as we would call it, inside. So this is a picture from the RML Colony. What did the survey give us? The survey actually gave us a lot of findings, like leopards survive on a stray dog per week, which is about 50 dogs a year that requires. Estimated stray dog population is 600 dogs in RML Colony alone. Okay, then that's a conservative number. We're talking about this population, which is just a sample estimated survey that was conducted within a span of some few days and few weeks. That's when this number has been extrapolated. Therefore, RA currently has a potential for up to 12 leopards to have, one whole year's meal. So if you look at the simple maths, we're talking about the food that is available for a leopard. And we've not even included the rest of the food sources that we just spoke about earlier, because they have other food sources as well. But if you have to just think about hypothetically saying the leopards survive only on stray dogs, there can be 12 stray dogs only living in RML Colony for a whole year. That much of food is available. Apart from this, of course, like I said, there have been number of pigs and cats too, which have not been counted. So the survey did not include those numbers. So this was very interesting. Again, camera trap images also substantiated this finding, saying, leopards mostly have been carrying stray dogs. There was also a lot of scat survey, scat analysis that was done, scat collection and scat analysis that was done. And dogs came to be one of the most prominent species that formed the prey for the leopard. Here's a very interesting image where I wanted to show you, saying how simple is it for a leopard to enter any building or any area and pick up a dog. So this is a high-rise building in Goregaon East, very close to Sarel Colony. The leopard enters the lift area of the building and just picks up the dog just like that and walks away. And in multiple instances, if you Google and find, you'll be seeing multiple videos of this because CCTV cameras have been capturing multiple instances like these. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the highest prey that we have in Mumbai. So like I mentioned, this image is between the two houses that are there in a pada. Again, Goregaon East is the area. Mind you, this entire buffer, or I wouldn't call it buffer really, but the surrounding of Sanjay Gandhi National Park, all through there are leopards. Though this work was done, the survey and the camera trapping work was extensively done in RML Colony, but the entire surrounding of Sanjay Gandhi National Park, everywhere there are presence of leopards and in good numbers. So here are some of the images that was captured. So Steve Winter was in Mumbai and he managed to capture some beautiful photographs with city in the background and with leopard in front. So here you see the amalgamation of a wild predator within a city. And here are some other beautiful images as well. So coming to the project and coming to how the interactions were managed and what what was implemented on ground. While working with the project, we realized that there are multiple stakeholders that are involved in a project like this, and it has to be an inclusive conservation that we could do. We cannot only work with any one stakeholder. So there has to be multiple stakeholders to make it a successful program. So Forest Department, of course, was the key stakeholder. We had researchers who was a part of this team. We had conservationists, of course. We had citizens of Mumbai who are common people, lay people, and I will talk about how what a role they played in conservation. Media played a very, very important role. Police also had a very important role to play. So these were the stakeholders that we worked with. There are multiple other people as well, but these were the key stakeholders that we worked with. Forest Department training was the first and foremost thing that we undertook because getting them to understand the animal that they're dealing with was one of the first steps that was required. Unless the department is able to understand and tackle the animal, it is very difficult to get the people to understand or build their confidence saying we are capable of handling the animal, which is in a city like Mumbai. So the forest department's capacity had to be built very well. Extensive training was conducted not only to understand about the animal, but also to how to tranquilize, what are the roles that each of us will play. There's also a dedicated rescue team, and I'm very proud to say that Mumbai has one of the best rescue teams in our country. It has rescued multiple animals from not only leopards, crocodiles, multiple animals, and they've been very good. They've also trained different forest departments in the country. So getting hands-on training or getting an expertise on trapping a leopard is not very easy. It's very different from any other animal, I would say. Researchers, of course, helped us a lot. And like I was mentioning, these are the scat collections that were done. Researchers collected the scat, analyzed the entire scat to understand what was the food, what was the habit. We also got to know a lot of lineage stories from this. You can see the camera traps that are also being put. So the number of leopards that were counted initially was just done through these camera traps to have a minimum number that existed in this area. Interactions with schools, local schools, because there are a lot of padas within the vicinity that we're talking about. So with the help of Forest Department, we also conducted a lot of outreach and programs with the schools, with the local schools in their local language, because there's a Tamil school, there's a Gujarati school, there's a Marathi school. So there are different people amongst the citizens who decided to get involved with us, who volunteered with us. And at that same time, in different languages, we were able to communicate with these children, because children, where they lived, they didn't have enough and good sanitation facilities, and invariably they would go out for their morning course, and that is also when the incidents in the past have happened. So sensitizing these kids without scaring them, without building a sense of fear within them was an important task. At the same time, interactions with residents from high-rise buildings was also very important, because um, people usually feel, or we've experienced that people felt when they buy a flat in a high-rise building, they also expect a sense of protection to be given by the building society or the people or the builder. Now, somehow the leopard doesn't understand that, and the leopard would kind of walk into the societies, into high-rise buildings, sit in their parking lot, parking areas. Multiple instances of CCTV that has captured leopards in parking areas have come to limelight. So it was very important to sensitize the high-rise building residents to keep practices that were safe for their children, for themselves as well. So a lot of do's and don'ts were shared with the residents there. Citizens' participation was also very important. We made it a point to keep an open forum where people could walk in. They would just get oriented for a day or two, and then they could participate in various activities that was being conducted in and around the park. So this actually gave a very good example or a story that would go around, saying we had more people to talk about the information that we wanted to share ourselves, but we had more hands and legs that could help us to do the same thing. uh, this actually helped us to also build in different skill sets within this team. And that is also when we realized that talking to students, talking to media, talking to different citizens, by their through their participation, has been very, very helpful in transferring the information from the researchers to the common man in the city. So this was a very good bridge that we could build through this program. Role of media, like I mentioned, was very important. Role of media before this whole project started, and I'm going to show you some slides or just some visual here, saying this is how the media used to tackle or portray a news to be, saying Adam Khor Tendua ki dehshat, and things like that. There was also news that we had read elsewhere, saying leopard on the loose keeps scared Meerut residents indoors. A lot of the news articles that we would read uh, created a perception in the minds of people, and that also created conflict or negative impact on human beings in and around the city. So this was an important chain that we realized, and there was a research that was done on all the news clippings that carried the information of a leopard being around the city. And that was also a very useful data that was collated. There is a chapter on this on the project report. There's a chapter on the media analysis, media news clip analysis that happened. But things or articles or headlines like these also create a sense of fear amongst people in the vicinity who read these newspapers. So media workshops were conducted. Initially, there was a lot of discussion as to how much, how, where, what can be done to involve media. But today, I can very safely tell you that taking media into confidence and making sure that they understand what's going behind the scene very important, because a known or a informed media person or a journalist is definitely going to produce a better report than an ill-informed person. Of course, there are a lot of news or data which is already given out. Some of them already have read them, but in order to give them a broad orientation like what we are doing today, we had to conduct a series of workshop. Even today, we keep conducting a yearly annual workshop with the media personnel to make sure that any new journalist who enters this domain is also aware of Sanjay Gandhi National Park and its nuances and its stories, so that the information or the news articles that are then put out is more informative in that sense. So the whole focus was on trying to create more constructive news and informative news than making it more sensational. So here is what we have after the workshops were conducted, and there have been a drastic change in the way news has been portrayed about leopards being seen in societies and buildings. So here is how you can read it: leopard rings in weekend with TV in bed, chapatis after entering Thane home. Right. So it's a very it's factual. It's not sensational, or it's not the sansani tez khabar, but it's also factual, and it also has been giving out information saying here's what to do to spot a leopard. So that's more constructive, saying this is one way of creating awareness amongst people who live in the vicinity of the park or who happen to encounter leopard. their day-to-day lives. So here is another constructive media article. And we have instances like these as well, where stray dog chases away leopard from housing complex. So there is a video clip available on YouTube where you can see the dog actually chasing away a leopard as well. So there have been very good, funny instances from Mumbai. Stray leopard barges into Mulund school basement. So these are some of the articles that you know see post those workshops, and articles have been carrying factual information and making sure some of these jargons, and that was a key delivery that we had to do with the media personnel, where some of these jargons where we would say man-eater leopard, dangerous, bloodthirsty animal, and so on and so forth in regional languages as well. We had to make sure there are some taboo words or some words that were explained, saying there are certain scientific meaning when you have to say a man eater, there are certain connotations or certain parameters under which we declare a predator or an animal as a man eater. Those were explained to the media personnel, post which we really found a change where they would not write those words or not use those words. And that has continued till date. It's been a decade almost, and we still see the impact of those workshops. Role of police in crowd management. This was again important because the police used to come, but they usually think, many people actually think the forest department is a super superman or a superhero where they would do everything. But through this workshop, we actually, through this project, we actually had to bifurcate the roles played by police, played by media, played by forest department in a conflict situation, so that the conflict situation is better handled without making a chaos out there. So the police personnel were briefed on how to do crowd management, when to do a crowd management. Section 144 and so on and so forth were also briefed again and again on how things have to be coordinated between the forest department and the police personnel, so that the forest department is getting an area which is free of people disturbance, and they can just focus on the animal and the rescue of the animal. Whereas the police can actually manage the crowd. So this was within Mumbai, this is a very important role that is being played by police. The cooperation that we've received is tremendous there. So here we are. I mean, these are the people or stakeholders that we see saying who are the people who play a role in conservation of an animal in a city like Mumbai or in any urban area for that matter. But as citizens, and all of us being somehow related and engaged in nature, would love to protect nature, would love to protect a species. What can you do to help, or what can we all together do to help? Of course, we can ask questions to distinguish between sensational news and informative news. That is the first thing that we need to do. Do write to editors wherever you find news articles being misappropriately, words being used misappropriately, where it is not supposed to be used. Feel free, and you should, as citizens, we have the duty to write back to the editors to make sure that they are also educated through our messages. Ensure a garbage-free surrounding in your vicinity, because dogs, of course, in Mumbai have increased so much because there's a lot of garbage. So municipal corporation of Mumbai is also responsible. They were also part of the team. They played a key role because keeping surroundings garbage free is also very important, because of which there were a lot of rats and mice and cats coming in there, because of which there were dogs as well that would feed on the garbage there. And that is also the reason why the leopards would get into human habitations. So keeping your surrounding garbage free is also very important. Reducing the stray dog population through various programs, ABC programs that can be conducted, is also something that we can do. Do not put pressure to trap leopards, because like I mentioned earlier, if one leopard is taken away from its settled territory, then there could be multiple leopards that will jump into that area, and there could be a chance that the conflicts could increase, because the known leopard, or a leopard which knows its territory, if it has not created any conflict, then it is better to leave the leopard there and removing it from that area, because there could be other leopards which probably could increase the chances of conflict situation. Take care of little kids in dark hours. Lighting is very important. We recommend people to light their areas, parking areas, gardens, and so on. Do not gather at around the area or pelt stones where the leopard is spotted or being rescued. It might attack in self-defense. Cooperate with the local authorities, rescue team, or local police. Drive slowly while driving through the forest areas. And like we mentioned, we've got instances of leopard road kills in Mumbai. I know it's a very, very densely populated city, and the traffic is also very, very heavy. But at the same time, during the night hours, during the dark hours, being careful is most important, especially when we are passing through forest areas. Now, as we speak about the urban wildlife, I mean, we've spoken about what we could do for leopards, but like we started with talking about urban wildlife, just a few points that I would like to share over here saying, as people who most of us probably are joining today are from the city areas, creating laws for exotic species, because that is one of the biggest threats, that is an upcoming one in the near future. We find exotic species to be, going to be creating a big issue for our wildlife. So creating strict laws for exotic species is one of the way forwards that we would recommend. Strict guidelines for captivity, complete ban on releasing them, because they actually pose a threat to our endemic population, to our local population. Managing stray dog population of domestic animals, managing source of anthropogenic food sources. In societies, the food dump is something that we have to manage, wet and dry waste. I think most of us have been doing that. Ban on feeding wild animals. It's a no-no, absolute no-no to feed wild animals. Rescue, capture, and rehabilitation SOPs and rescue centers to be created. Many places have already created SOPs for rescues, but there are specific rescue SOPs for species specific. So for snakes, there are SOPs created. For different groups, there are SOPs created. But creating a robust SOP and creating a rescue center for the rescued animal is also as important. Academics, research, and studies of our surroundings. Like we mentioned, we've done this study in Mumbai, and it helped us to understand the animals living in Mumbai. Without that, we would never be able to understand the whole pattern and the life cycle of a leopard which is living inside a city like Mumbai. Network and sharing practices, trying to bridge the gap between research and common people, citizens. Networking was one of the key activities that was undertaken. So we would recommend strongly that networking and sharing practices should continue anywhere and everywhere. And I think that's all I would want to share today with all of you. I'm open to questions. This is also a leopard from Mumbai. It is sitting on a rooftop, captured in Mumbai. So do let me know if you have any questions. Apurva, I hand over to you. Thank you so much for being patient with this today.
Thank you, ma'am, for the lead session. I would request any participants, if they have any questions, they can just raise their hand. Till then, I can go with some questions that I have in my mind.
Sure.
One I wanted to ask, is there any cultural or traditional belief associated with leopards in India, or it is purely an urban problem?
No, absolutely, Apurva. It's a good question. So, leopards are actually revered in Mumbai within the local communities that are there in Mumbai. The communities call it Vaghoba. So, Vaghoba is a deity which is revered in different locations, in different occasions as well. They consider it, I mean, there are different beliefs. In Maharashtra also, I've seen there are different beliefs. Some believe that if the leopard or a Vaghoba is situated outside the village, then it is protecting the village and the leopards don't enter, or a large cat will not enter. Some also have instances where the Vaghoba is, situated where there has been an attack or there has been a human kill that has happened. But in different instances, it is revered, and there are pujas that are conducted by the locals over there. The Varli community and the other communities also conduct pujas and worship it. Yeah,
So it is more of a positive impact that is seen.
absolutely, it's a positive impact. Yes, and in fact, that angle also was used when we did outreach and awareness programs amongst the people that we're talking about. So it helped us to create or link it up to that whole story about culture and how it is important to conserve this animal because of the cultural importance that it has.
And how do the local communities, like, if we are talking about Mumbai, how do they perceive and respond to the presence of leopards? Like, you have done an extensive study specifically with Mumbai, but except Mumbai also in other areas, how do they perceive the presence of leopards? It is positive, it is negative. Human kills, are there any human kills related issues over there?
Right. So I've worked in other areas as well, Apurva. So in Bhopal, I have some examples. I've also worked in different other areas as well, in cities actually. So usually people, it depends on the people. So the first contact people who are right there with the leopard or with the leopard in their backyard, that perception versus somebody who has read about leopards in the newspaper, who has not seen it themselves but who has read it in the newspaper, who's sitting in a house which is a high-rise building, has never seen a leopard but has been reading about it that leopards are there in my vicinity. The perceptions and the reactions are very different. For somebody who's living very close to the leopard, uh, it is a matter of protection. So it is similar to how we would want to protect our child from crossing a road and the vehicles are, fast moving vehicles are there. So it is very similar where we train our kids saying, look left and right before you cross the road. So like that, the local people where the kids are playing around, they also start talking about the protection or the do's and don'ts that they should follow when the leopard is living around them. I wouldn't call it a negative, but I do know that there is an impact which says that keep away, right? So there is a prevention or a precautionary measure that is being taken by them. Whereas somebody who's reading a newspaper or who's slightly away from this whole area or action area and who's sitting on a high-rise building, can think about saying, "Oh, it's a beautiful animal. I want to see it." So we've had people very curiosity, with out of curiosity, coming to areas where the leopard is found, saying that "हमको एक बार तो देखना है." So can we come and see the leopard? Whereas the local people are not very keen to see the leopard. Of course, it's beautiful. People would want to see it, but they are usually trying to be away, keeping themselves and their family away from the leopard. So it's a mixed or a different reaction in different areas with different cluster of people that we're talking about.
Okay. What are the long-term implications of human-leopard conflicts for both? Like, what are the long-term implications? Are we able to save the species as much as we are interested in, we want to the level, or the population, the growing population of people is going to affect the population of leopards?
So, like I mentioned, Apurva, I think leopard and humans both are one of the most adaptable species that we've got on Earth. So, I feel to an extent leopards will survive, but at the same time, if we are going to be talking about the increase in numbers, there is going to be a threshold post which or after which the leopards may not be able to survive amongst themselves. So there is going to be a threshold, say in a place like Mumbai, right? For example, so it will have a threshold with a number that will be built naturally, and after that they will not be able to survive. There will be conflict amongst themselves as well. So conservation would, or the impact of human wildlife interaction that we are talking about, and we're trying to prevent any kind of negative impact or negative interaction, is only going to help to the extent that we don't have any intervention or we don't have any artificial intervention of culling or of removing the animal or any of those things. But it's going to be a natural process of population management that will happen over a period of time, is what I believe. And it will be curbed at a certain number. But I also believe that if the numbers are going to go beyond the capability or capacity of a particular city, then there could be chance where there's a lot of negative impact, where say the losses for that matter, right? We also talk about herbivores sometimes in rural areas. It creates a lot of negative impact by raiding crops. So if there are a large number of these animals in a particular area and there's a lot of financial loss happening, then there is bound to be an intervention that needs to happen in terms of either relocation or in terms of capturing or in terms of culling. Sometimes there could be certain extreme steps that need to be taken for certain species. Now, I'm not talking about leopards. It could be for certain species. So the impact is going to be dependent on the losses that humans are going to be incurring. Unfortunately, we are going to be the decision makers at the end of the day. So if there are huge losses in any particular area, then there is going to be an intervention that will be required.
Okay. And were there any human deaths happened because of leopard in Mumbai? Or like
Yes, yes. Yeah, so before the project started, the project actually started because there were multiple human deaths that had happened. Between 2001 and 2010, there were a lot of attacks that had happened. But the research that was done during this project also came out with results which said that most of the attacks that happened when the individual animal was actually camera trapped and researched upon, we realized that that particular animal was relocated or translocated from another area. So most animals that had attacked humans were, most of them were translocated animals, right? And that created more conflict situation or negative impact or losses in Mumbai with regards to human lives. So that was instantly stopped. Even now, trapping or relocation of leopards in Mumbai has been extremely low, extremely low. There has been a lot of, in the moment there is a phone call from a residential area or there's a political pressure that comes into the forest department saying, this particular area has a leopard and that needs to be trapped. The forest department informs this particular team, Mumbaikars for SGNP team, and the team first goes to that building or the society or residential area to brief them about the behavior of a leopard, what has happened, how did you see it, where did you see it, what are the do's and don'ts to be followed. And I see somebody has asked for the list of do's and don'ts, and I can share it with you. But what are the do's and don'ts that need to be followed? So briefing them, and after the brief, if they still feel that the leopard needs to be trapped, only then we've looked at other options that are available. But in most of the times, 90% of the times, once the communication is set or the background is shared or the orientation is given, people have also understood that it's better to leave the leopard alone than trying to cull it out or remove it from that area, because like I said, could be other leopards that will probably occupy the area, multiple leopards that could occupy the area. So the human attacks that happened in the past has reduced. Now there have been very, very low attacks on humans recently, in the last 10 years actually.
Okay. So this Mumbai Citizen Science Project was one of the best awareness. It was good because of the awareness that was created.
Absolutely, awareness, and like I said, multiple media played a role. Forest department's rescue team was so good that the confidence in people who live close to the park were also, I mean, middle of the night you give a call, there's a control room number which has been set, there's a protocol, there's a SOP which has been set. The phone call goes to the particular range officer, there's a rescue team range officer, they're all coordinated, very well coordinated, and within a very set time, 30 minutes or 45 minutes, the team will reach there, make sure the people are moved away. So police by then would have reached. So the coordination is so good. And like I said, multiple stakeholders have played a role. It's not just the outreach awareness is one of the things, but the action has also helped a lot to make it, a very good action. If there is a action required, then people are available, people are present. That trust and that has built a lot of confidence amongst Mumbaikars, saying that kuch hoga to we can give a call and the team is going to come, the Mumbaikars or SGNP or the rather the rescue team from National Park is going to come and rescue the leopard or rescue the animal. So that confidence has really increased over the last few years, and that has helped to keep the numbers at bay, keep the conflict at bay as well.
Okay. Any questions from the participants? Ma'am, can you please share the do's and don'ts when the leopard is spotted?
Sure. So I will
Shalu.
so this is just a small, I mean, this is not do's and don'ts, and the leopard is, I will just check if I have the PDF right away. Otherwise, I can mail it across to you as well.
Okay. Shalu has raised
me
her
check.
hand. She can mute herself and unmute herself and ask the question. यहाँ से बोलो.
Yeah, so can you see the screen right now, Purva?
Yes, I can.
So I will share the file also with somebody here. I don't know if I can put an attachment, but I'm just keeping it up on the screen for do's and don'ts.
Okay, I don't think there are any more questions.
Okay, I'm just going to share this file. or I can mail it across to you as well.
Yes,
I think
yes.
the file is taking time. But yeah, I mean, people can take a screenshot or yes, I'm sharing the file. I think I've shared the file. I don't know how it comes to you. Purva, can you just
Yes, I
check
get.
how it comes? You get the file. You got the file, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I've sent the file. You can just share it with the person who's
Yes.
asking for it. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, I'll conclude the session now. On behalf of Central's authority, I extend a heartfelt gratitude to the so, speaker for her incredible conversation on zooming conservation. Your insightful contribution has illuminated our journey towards the conservation. Once again, I thank you for your invaluable contribution and insight. Will continue to resonate as we strive towards more sustainable and harmonious coexistence with nature. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you
It was
so
nice
much.
having you for the first session of our series, and we'll be in
Wonderful.
contact. Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you. Bye bye.
you. Continue. Okay,